Hello and welcome, whether you are returning or joining this channel for the first time. It is so good to have you. Before we dive into today's video, I do have to address a couple of things here. First, it's obviously been a while since I've uploaded. For those of you who aren't aware, I actually had a pretty severe migraine attack at the end of March and beginning of April, and that's why I didn't post any readings last month. I really tried to get stuff out to all of you, and even after the migraine attack, I was in what's called a postdrome or migraine hangover, and it was really just difficult to express myself, and that's actually what I was having before I had my attack as well. So hopefully if this ever does happen to me again, this was the first time it's ever happened, I'll at least be able to know the signs. However, this sort of does lead me into the second announcement that I feel like I need to make. I really do feel that moving forward, I am going to separate the tarot and astrology into different videos for the signs. So I will still be uploading, and in fact, potentially uploading more. But it really just became very apparent with this migraine attack that I've put myself under so much stress and strain, and I've really tried to fit everything into these neat little boxes, and honestly, it's very challenging for me to do, and I feel like moving forward, I would really like to go back kind of to the root of where I began, where it was more of an intuitive style read, while still also using astrology as well, because I do feel like they're both very useful tools that can help orient a lot of things for us. And so I think sometimes too these messages can get just like repetitive, and of course I feel like whenever I do a tarot reading, it's always going to incorporate astrological elements anyways. That's just how my brain works. But I think it's nice to kind of dial that back and just let that more flow in naturally. So that might be something that may not even be much of a big deal to all of you. Maybe it's just kind of a bigger deal to me because I put a lot of pressure on myself. So I appreciate all the support that you have given this channel, and actually a lot of people did reach out to me, ask me how I was doing, and I really, really appreciate that. If you would like to support this channel, definitely be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification. That not only helps you stay up to date with what's in the cards for you, but it also helps spread these messages and energies that you may think be helpful for other people. So they're kind of your tools as well. And I do have a link in the description of this video for my website where you can book a personal reading or distance Reiki session, as well as links for all of my other social media accounts. Cancer, while I was tuning into your energy, I actually felt drawn to pull from the animal deck first. I usually do that at the end of these readings. And the first card I actually had was the Earthworm. And I kind of smirked at this, just thinking about what's going on astrologically for you. This card makes a lot of sense. So with the Earthworm, I often think of this card as kind of like an Ace of Pentacles. There is fertile soil. There is the potential for growth, or maybe even increased abundance. Maybe there is some money coming in or just more security. But the thing with the Earthworm is that there's also this kind of this need to hide yourself, feeling a little bit insecure, wanting to keep your head in the ground. And this is just making so much sense because we have a lot of Aries energy this month. We were in Aries season last month and even at the end of March. So there's been a lot of focus on your career or the role that you fill in the world at large. And when I really was connecting with you, Cancer, I feel like you underestimate yourself more than a lot of people. And you second guess yourself a lot, or at the very least, you don't recognize just how capable you actually are. You are far more capable than you know. And this felt very confirmed for me when I pulled the Elk here as well. Now, both of these cards are corresponding to the element of Earth, so this does feel like there's something about work or just the role you fill in your day-to-day life. But Elk is a very strong and reliable energy. This is someone who is a leader. Kind of gives me like King of Pentacles energy from the tarot. So someone who's very solid, very stable, someone who's able to provide not only for themselves, but the people that they care about. And this feels like energy that you are stepping into. We do have a lot still happening with Aries this month. We have Mars, Mercury, the North Node, which is just one of the places the eclipses occur, and Chiron, which is an asteroid, the wounded healer. This could actually be why you are feeling extra self-conscious this month. But I feel like there's also a lot of healing that can come by being willing to put yourself out there and maybe step out of your comfort zone. There is so much growth that is potential for you here. This is also just a great month for networking as well. We'll kind of get into that more in just a moment, but I do want to pull some tarot cards for you now, Cancer. And as I do that, I'll just give my quick reminder that these are general readings, meaning not all of the messages that come forward are going to be meant for all of you specifically. It's always up to your own intuition and discernment to figure out what messages apply to your own life and what should be left behind for somebody else. And if this video just does not resonate, nothing went wrong. You don't need to comment about it. It just means that these messages weren't meant for you at this time. You are more than welcome, however, to check out the other videos on my channel, maybe for your moon or rising sign. There could be some messages for you there as well. And as a Cancer, especially if you are a Cancer rising in particular, there's a good chance that you have an Aries midheaven, which is about your career or the role you fill in the world at large. And that kind of feels like it's going to be pretty central, or at least that's a very important theme this month. So if you are a Cancer rising, or if you even have any Aries placements, it may be worth your while checking out that video as well. But what do we have for Cancer here? Interesting. 7 of Swords in reverse with the 8 of Cups in reverse coming out in the past. Interesting. Kind of on a different note here, it feels like there has been this person in your life who has been an individual you just have not been able to walk away, or there just has not been this ending, and it feels like maybe they've lied or have been deceitful or just have not been straightforward. They've not been direct in their communication. That's to say at the very least with the 7 of Swords here. But you kind of see them very clearly in this. So not trying to stir the pot, you'll sort of know the dynamic with this person already. It feels like there is this past energy of someone who has kind of just come in and out of your life. And even more than this, you have tried to end something with this individual, whether this is a friendship. I'm kind of getting a romantic connection, to be honest. Whoa, I'm actually getting the word twin flame, and that is not a concept I use very often. I definitely have my own takes on that. I think it can be very toxic, and maybe that's even something you've kind of had to learn through experience, Cancer, with this person, because maybe you thought they were your twin flame. And sometimes that's kind of the twin flame energy. It's like you're supposed to meet for just enough time to kind of activate each other, to catalyze each other, and then the relationship usually falls apart. They're very intense connections that usually don't become something more. And I know a lot of people talk about that as being like a part of people's purpose online, but I really don't think that's what that is. I just have a very different opinion on that. To be honest, I think you've just had a dynamic that some people would call like a twin flame dynamic, because there's kind of been this like runner-chaser dynamic. You try to move away, this person follows. You try to go after this person, they run away. But you just have not been able to cut this person out fully. And even if you're not talking to them right now, it feels like there is this energy that's very strong around you. Can we get a little more clarity here, actually? There may be some communication that has happened recently, or there is some communication coming in with the Eight of Wands, and that could actually be coming in quite unexpectedly. The Eight of Wands actually can be about electronic communication, so maybe receiving a message from somebody. I'm actually getting, for some of you, there could be a person from your past who's actually reaching out to you because they're traveling to you, especially if they have moved, or maybe they're just going to a place that you are or have been to. Tell me a little bit more about this energy here. So we do have the Queen of Wands. This could be an Aries individual, could also be Leo or Sagittarius. And I promise you that this is tied into what we were talking about at the very beginning, because I feel like I'm just going to kind of spoil it for you. I already know intuitively where this is going. Some of you in the past were maybe connected to this idea of collaborating or being part of this power couple with this person, and there was something very appealing about that to you, because there was almost this, like, you didn't have to stand up on your own and be in your own power. And even if that's not like about a job or a vocation or like some sort of project, it's like this person kind of represented this possibility of you being able to be very enmeshed with someone in a way that might feel very comfortable, but honestly doesn't feel super healthy, or doesn't give you room to grow. And I feel like ultimately that's why this relationship or this connection has not been helpful. And even if this was a friend, maybe this is someone you just leaned on too much. This is someone who you gave a bit too much of your power to. And a lot of people do that with twin flames, just saying. They make it like, I need this person to fulfill my destiny. I don't believe that at all. There are an infinite number of ways to create and find your purpose and to live that out. I actually think the universe is a lot more off the rails than most people would be comfortable with. Nothing is guaranteed. And so you come into this life kind of knowing that, Cancer. Wow, Two of Cups. Yeah, I do feel like this was a person who you were romantically involved with, or you at least had a very close soul connection. And you did have to distance yourself from them, or life even just kept you apart with the Six of Swords. You just couldn't be together. There was some sort of circumstance that kept you apart. That's also pretty common. But whatever this person represented to you, it's still a part of your purpose. And that might be why you've not really been able to let go of this individual. And so I'm not here telling you that you're going to get back together with your ex. I really don't feel like this is what kind of reading this is. This is like, hey, there's this person from your past that you're thinking about a lot, regardless of whether or not you're in a relationship, by the way. And you might be like, why am I thinking about this person? Why have I not gotten over this? Or are these feelings or thoughts coming up? It's not actually about this person. It's almost about connecting to that version of yourself you were when you were connected to this person, or what seemed possible to you then. What was the thing that excited you, and have you kind of veered off from that, or did you let that go when this person was no longer in your life? Because ultimately, every person is kind of a reflection or some part of you. I really do believe that. Especially the people who are close to you in your life, or the people you really get to know in your life. There's some sort of reflection there. And this person is a reflection of some part of your purpose or destiny or role. But yeah, you've had to distance yourself from this person. And again, I feel like some of you literally are in very different parts of the world. There's a lot of distance between you and this person, but I still feel like there could be something with travel. Um, Honestly, I could just end the reading now. I know where this is going. Judgment. This is just so funny to me because this is one of these cards that does sometimes indicate this spiritual calling, this call of your higher purpose. But it does also represent a card of energies coming back from the past, reviewing things from the past, finding closure, resolving things. That can very much be about judgment as well, that judgment day, that resurrection. But I think this is more about you resurrecting a part of yourself. Interesting. Knight of Cups in reverse. I feel like your feelings are very mixed up about this situation and this person, and I do hope that this reading is giving you some clarity, even if it's not necessarily the thing you want to hear or are hoping for. Although maybe some of you are kind of hoping, oh, thank God I'm not going to be with this person. Or I'm not actually going to have to, like, reconcile with this person. Reconciliation doesn't also always mean that you get back together with someone. It just means making amends. Or at least that's what this could be in this case, too. But I do feel like there's definitely some emotions that are making some things confusing, but ultimately, Cancer, you know there is a higher calling, and you kind of have to, like, zoom out of your own perspective here and see things from a very objective point of view, from a higher perspective. Because in my experience, like, these higher beings, this higher self, the oversoul, whatever it is that we call these very similar energies, really doesn't give a shit about the thing that we attach to as humans very much. Our soul, our guides, our angels know that we are here for a very limited time. Things aren't meant to last forever here. And in fact, a lot of the time we think something is only real if it lasts forever. And if that's the case, then nothing is real. Just saying that, because that feels like something some of you need to hear for some reason. Ooh. That was way too many cards. Let's try that again. But all of this is to say, Cancer, like, you had a very significant and important connection, and just because it didn't go the way you thought it would, doesn't mean that it was wrong, or that it wasn't meant to be for some time. And I think that's kind of the hardest thing with, I guess, this thing that people call, like, a twin flame. It's almost always going to end that way, where it's like you just have to let this thing go. And it's one of the hardest things to do, and that is where all of that spiritual growth really comes in. That is kind of the lesson there. But ultimately, whatever you called this person, whatever they represented to you, it was almost like, what were you projecting onto them? What part of your greatness? What part of your legacy? It's almost like this person did something you wanted to do, or had an interest or a similar aspiration to you. I feel like there's kind of a bit of an age gap. So for some of you, this could be someone who is older than you as well, and maybe more achieved in their life, or more just further along their path. And that was kind of meant to motivate you as well. Yeah, King of Pentacles. Definitely getting an older energy here. At least for some of you. Of course, not for all of you. But King of Pentacles is showing up in your future. And it's so funny that this is the last tarot card. I may pull some clarifiers, actually. But at least in the spread that I pulled for you, this is the last card in the spread, because I started off this reading with the elk saying it's giving me King of Pentacles energy. I feel like some of you are really stepping up into your power, into your stability, into your legacy. I kind of told you, Cancer, I feel like I figured your reading out within the first few minutes or the first few cards, but it's been kind of a fun journey anyways, and I hope there were some useful tidbits in there for you. I do want to pull some Oracle cards, I think. I think I want to pull from the Moonology deck. I honestly haven't talked too much about the astrology this month. I think kind of the main takeaways this month, May is actually a very lucky month. Being ruled by the moon, Cancer, whatever the moon does is very important. So I'm going to talk about the moon as I pull these moon cards. We do have a, oh my gosh, what is it? It's the, pulling my notes up here. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. We have the new moon in Taurus on the 7th. This is where this is a really good time for you to network. And we actually do have Jupiter and Venus coming together in Taurus as well on the 23rd, which is the same day as the full moon in Sagittarius. Where it really does feel like your work could be getting recognized. You could be getting recognized. That might actually be how you run into this person or how you hear about this person. You might even meet at like a convention or something like that, or just like having some weird random work connection or some sort of synchronicity with that. But this is a really great month for you to network. Venus and Jupiter are both benefic planets. They're generally considered positive in traditional astrology. And being in the sign of Taurus, for you, this represents your hopes, your wishes, your social networks. This is a really good month to put yourself out there, hence the earthworm and the elk. And I was kind of saying at the intro of this video before I actually started the reading, it's why I feel like with the tarot and astrology, a lot of these messages really do get repetitive sometimes. And I feel like we already just talked about this. We do also have the full moon in Pisces, balancing spirituality and practicality. We don't have this month quite literally, but Pisces energy is actually kind of interesting because it's naturally the 12th house, where Jupiter is going to be going for you when it enters into Gemini. Because for you, Gemini is your 12th house. There's a lot of spiritual growth, trusting in your intuition. Your intuition is heightening during this time, and there's just a lot of spiritual expansion. So for those of you who really want to work in kind of a spiritual or creative environment or field, this is going to be really great energy, or even just doing something like psychology, getting to the core, getting into the subconscious mind, or anything creative. I feel like you're a very deep soul. And that's kind of the thing, Cancer. I do feel like some of you have been... It's almost like you gave up on something too easily. Like, oh, well, I guess this just wasn't going to work out. This thing didn't work out with this other person. And it's like, no. Now that you're more determined to do something, when you find this determination in yourself, that's actually when you manifest the people who are going to help you. So it's important that you're not just doing this manifestation, you're actually doing the work, putting yourself out there, networking, or maybe just learning the skills you need to learn, doing something that is actually going to practically help you step into your new role or step into what feels like your purpose. And it's funny too, because the full moon in Pisces card does sometimes indicate like a really significant spiritual connection or relationship. So that's funny that was sort of a theme here too. A little unexpectedly, to be completely honest, but it does feel like it ties in. Anything else for Cancer? Anything else for Cancer? New moon in Pisces. Yes, you are really coming into a very spiritual energy. I feel like a lot of you are readers or intuitives or just work with your third eye a lot. Meditate and contemplate. So it's like there is this new spiritual journey or adventure. But honestly, Cancer, I feel like you're the one kind of leading it this time. And if this hasn't resonated with like the soulmate or the twin flame, this could also be talking about a teacher for some of you. That's actually kind of making sense as well. there was a mentor who you looked up to, but you're now kind of becoming this teacher, becoming this guide. Wow. And I mean, for the rest of the year and even into 2025, you have a lot of support here with Jupiter entering into the sign of Gemini. Um, and I think that's everything that's important. I'm trusting that it all came out already for you, Cancer, because it feels like, again, the energy was just boom, here. So I do hope that this was helpful. Definitely be sure to hit like and subscribe if it gave you some things to think about, if this resonated for you, if you feel like this is worth sharing with other people. Would love to hear in the comments down below what this is all about, how this all ties together, because I feel like for a lot of you it really does. And it's always just so cool to hear how people are going through similar things. It's just so wild to me. Anyways, you can find a link in the description of this video for my website where you can book readings and distance Reiki sessions, as well as find links for all of my social media accounts. And of course, again, you are more than welcome to check out the other videos on my channel for your moon or rising sign. I really do feel like for those of you who have Aries placements, or maybe even if you don't, there could be something worth checking out there as well. Anyways, Cancer, those are all the messages I have for you this month. I am sending lots of positive energy and blessings your way, and I hope you have a great one. Take care.